Hello. With this video, we're now going to cover some of the differences that are associated with a plant cell versus an animal cell. I've already drawn up on the board here some of the structures that are in common with the animal cell, so you don't have to watch me draw those again, all right? Just to remind you, there's going to be a nucleus. Within the nucleus, there'll be a nucleolus. We've got rough and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. We've got Golgi apparatus, we've got cytoplasm, we've got mitochondria. If you notice, the one thing that's on this list that's not on the diagram are going to be the lysosomes. And that's because in the plant cell, the function of that lysosome that's associated with a eukaryotic cell is actually carried out by the vacuole. Okay? The vacuole with a plant cell is involved in storage and any digestion or digesting that cell needs to do. So what I'm going to draw in here, I'm going to draw a vacuole. And vacuoles can be kind of odd shaped. They tend to be fairly large. So underneath a microscope, this would be another structure that you could visualize with a light microscope. And I've drawn one here. In reality, in the cell, you might have multiple vacuoles. So we'll draw another one up here. And we'll spell it right. There you go. All right, and the vacuole, that's going to be involved in storage, really, for the plant cell. Another structure that we've got that's going to be associated with plant cells, but it's not found in animal cells. This is going to be another structure that you can visualize under a light microscope for some types of plant cells, is going to be a chloroplast. Okay. And the chloroplast, the function of the chloroplast in the plant cell, this is going to be where photosynthesis happens within the plant cell, okay? And that chloroplast, I kind of drew some discs in there, kind of like that. So if we call this our chloroplast, what it's composed of are going to be some thylakoid membranes. So that's kind of why I drew them as discs on top of each other. All right, that's kind of how your book depicts it also. Those membranes are going to be important. There are going to be components in that membrane that are going to help photosynthesis happen. I'm not going to focus on what those components are. I do want you to know the thylakoid membranes are a part of the chloroplast, and that's only going to be found in plant cells. Okay? So we've got those two structures that are going to be found in plant cells and not in animal cells. There's one more structure that I don't have on here that I'm going to kind of highlight as I make my cell wall here a little thicker with my squeaky marker. And that's going to be a structure known as, and I'm going to draw it in pink just so that you can see it. I don't know why I wrote pink. I didn't really need to. All right. But essentially what you're going to have are some Plasmodesmata. And those are going to be narrow channels. Oh, that's terrible. Look at how that's smearing. That's okay. We'll just draw that in again. Those are going to be areas that are going to connect the various plant cells, so it's going to go across the cell wall. And what that does is that allows for the exchange of material between adjacent plant cells. So it's an opening in the cell wall that allows molecules, nutrients to be exchanged between neighboring plant cells. All right. Other structure that's going to be associated with plant cells that we aren't going to have associated with animal cells is going to be that cell wall that I've talked about in a couple other videos. All right. Our cell wall in plant cells is going to be composed of cellulose. So that cellulose is a polymer of glucose, so it's a long chain of glucose, but it's linked together, so you get multiple chains stacked together. And what that cellulose does, and what the cell wall does, is it gives some external structure to the plant cell. All right. Those are going to be the components of the plant cell that I want you to know that are different from the animal cell. Know that there are some components that are in both plant and animal cells. Function's going to be the same in a plant cell versus an animal cell for things like the nucleus, the rough endoplasmic reticulum, smooth ER, mitochondria. Okay. The plasmodesmata, those channels, are going to be unique to plant cells. The cell wall is something found just in plant cells. The vacuoles, and then the chloroplasts. All right. If you have any questions, please let me know.